Third question, what happens to Christians who live before Pentecost? It's an interesting question. It's actually an oxymoronic question because there was no Christian alive before Pentecost. The word Christian refers to the people who believe after Pentecost. We have other terms for the people who believe before, and I think that's what you're obviously referring to. What about those people who believed in the Messiah prior to Pentecost? Well, we would just call all of them Old Testament saints. So the first of those was Adam. Adam believed after he fell into sin, and as a result, he was saved by his faith after the fact, after he caused the problem in the first place. So Adam would be the first saint of the Bible, and as such, he is the first Old Testament saint. And everyone after him, until you reach the moment of Pentecost, all those people who believed are Old Testament saints. They are not Christians. They are not the church. They are believers. They're saved like we are by faith, but they're considered a different group. And the Bible separates them because in the Bible, the bride of Christ is only those who have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, and only the church, only those since Pentecost have received the indwelling. In fact, Pentecost is the moment of the first indwelling of those believers with the Spirit of God. So they're separate, and I should also add those believers who come to faith during the tribulation, after the church has been removed at the resurrection, those believers have a separate name also. We call them tribulation saints. And the reason we have all these different names is just to distinguish the church. The church is the special thing. The church is that group of believers who had a unique period of history, a unique dispensation of God's grace. We received the deposit of the Holy Spirit. No other believer at any time in history has had that happen routinely. It's only the church that receives that special measure of God's grace. And so, apart from the church, those who exist from Pentecost until the rapture or till the resurrection, that group is called the bride of Christ. Before that, Old Testament saints. After that, tribulation saints, but it's all believers. Now, what happens to those Old Testament saints? Well, they're not included in the resurrection moment that we just talked about. Our resurrection discussion was only about what happens for the church. The Old Testament saints, we're told in Daniel chapter 12, are resurrected at the end of tribulation, as are the tribulation saints who are saved during the 7-year tribulation. They too are resurrected at the end of tribulation. So the church saints are resurrected before. Remember, Paul said back in 1 Corinthians 15 that Christ is the first fruits of the resurrection, and then each in their order. Paul's saying there is an order to this. Some are resurrected now, some are resurrected later. Christ was first, we come after him. So it starts with Jesus, it then goes to the church, then after the church, the next ones to be resurrected are the two witnesses in the middle of tribulation, then the Old Testament saints, then the tribulation saints. That's the order of the resurrections that God has planned. Anyway, good question. Hope that was helpful.